Hi, this is Daniel with Workshop Fitness, and this is part of a series of at-home workouts based off the Dungeons & Dragons character classes. Today we are doing Druid. While there are lots of interesting facets to the Druid class, the defining feature is the Wild Shape ability, which lets them transform into different kinds of animals. So the workout today will consist entirely of animal-based movements. We aren't hitting any particular muscle group, but there will be a good bit of core and lower body in it, so the main benefit is going to be flexibility and mobility. These will all be body weight exercises. We'll be doing each one for about a minute, and I'll explain them as we go. Okay, diving right in, we are starting off with our first two movements, which will be an inchworm and a flying squirrel. So for the inchworm, we are standing up straight, and we're going to slowly lower our hands towards the ground, feeling a nice stretch in the hamstrings as we reach down, and either lean forward or bend the knees slightly until your hands touch the ground, and walk those hands forward until we are in a high plank position with hands under the shoulders, core contracted, pelvis tucked in, back straight. And we're going to walk our hands back in, hips rising as the hands come towards the feet, and contracting those core muscles to lift us back up slowly, stacking those vertebrae one at a time, head the last thing to come up, and then we are going back down, reaching towards the floor, getting the hands on the ground, walking out again into a high plank, and walking the hands back towards the feet, inchworming our way back up. Contract the abs and lower back, lifting our torso up slowly, taking a breath, and going back down. One more time down here, walking out into a high plank, and we're going to stay down here, dropping our knees to the ground, and laying down flat for our second movement, flying squirrel. This one, we're going to lay prone, splay our arms and legs out in an X shape, and using our back muscles and glutes, lifting arms and legs off the floor, and holding this for as much of a minute as we can. If you prefer, you can lower the legs, focus just on lifting the arms by drawing your shoulder blades towards your butt, or you can drop the arms and focus on the lower body, using the glutes and lower back to lift those legs. Going for all four, get the full flying squirrel here, nice and spread out. Pulling those back muscles together. Keep us aloft. A few more seconds of this. And dropping back to the ground. You're going to rest for 30 seconds and do those two movements again. Alright, we've been through the movements once. We're going to do each of those one more time here, beginning again with the inchworm. So maintaining a strong core, slowly lowering down towards the ground, feeling a slight stretch in the hamstrings, bend the knees if you need to bring the hands to the floor, walking them out into a high plank, and then walking them back in, hips coming up as the hands get towards the feet. And slowly using the core to raise us up, slowly straightening the spine, letting the head come up last, and easing back towards the ground. Take your time with all of the movements today. Don't feel the need to rush through anything or have it down perfectly on the first pass. This one is all about getting comfortable with different kinds of movement patterns, working on bodily awareness, improving mobility, all things where a slow, calm approach works best. And now lower down to the ground for the flying squirrel. Arms and legs out in X shape, contracting the back muscles to raise everything up off the ground, holding this for as much of a minute as you want. Free to lower them down and take rests if you need. During this time, I will answer the question I'm sure everyone's been asking. Yes, the Druid class did first appear in D&D in the 1974 Greyhawk supplement, but only as an NPC class. It did not become playable until the 76 Eldritch Wizardry supplement, where it was a cleric subclass. It became its own distinct class in 2nd edition, though it was listed under the priest category along with cleric, and finally became its own distinct core class in 3rd edition. Got about 5 more seconds to go here. Maintaining a nice strong back. And lower down. Done with those two, 30 more seconds to rest. We'll be on to our next set of movements. Alright, getting ready for our second set of movements here. We will be doing a bird dog and a dead bug. So for the bird dog, down onto all fours, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, maintaining a nice strong core. Make sure you've got some room in front of you and behind you. And maintaining some tension in the abs, we're going to extend opposite arm and opposite leg. Nose back down, and do the same thing on the other side. Important cue here is keeping those abs flexed so that we avoid arching our back as we extend. We want to keep the pelvis tucked in. Focus on extending the arm and leg out straight in front and behind rather than lifting them towards the ceiling. Just trying to create a straight line, fingers through the toes, while maintaining a nice strong core here. Focusing on stability through the torso. For about 10 more seconds. Slow and steady in the movements. Maintaining control. Now we're going to flip over onto our backs for the dead bug. This, bend your knees at about 90-degree angles. Think about pushing your lower back into the ground as best you can. Arms out straight towards the ceiling. And then again, extending opposite arm and opposite leg, while continuing to press that lower back into the ground. Keeping the abs under tension the whole time. This is a great one for not only strengthening the core, but engaging in these contralateral movements where we move opposite side parts of our body. Also excellent for improving your coordination and enhancing that mind-body connection. 5 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, and finished. Alright, nicely done. 30 seconds to rest, and one more time through. Alright, getting back into those two movements, beginning with the bird dog, getting down on all fours, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, core contracted, extend opposite arm and opposite leg. Again, it can be tempting to think about lifting your hand and foot towards the ceiling. Try instead to focus on extending them in front and behind, rather than raising them up. Easier to avoid arching the back that way. But either way, focus on keeping the abs contracted and your pelvis tucked as we stay stable through the torso, chest facing the ground the whole time, not turning side to side. Constant tension on the core muscles. 10 more seconds here. Continuing to breathe through the movements. And flipping over onto our backs for the dead bug. Similar movement, but upside down. Lower back pressed into the ground, extending opposite arm and opposite leg. And going slow and smooth, maintaining control of your breath. Can sometimes be difficult to do while you're keeping the core engaged. Good thing to work on. "20 more seconds in this one. Going at your own pace. Resting if you need to. Trying to maintain that time under tension for the abs. 5 more seconds. And done. Excellent. Done with those movements. 30 seconds of rest. Moving on to 2 new ones. Our next 2 movements are going to be a frog jump and a crab walk. Starting off with the frog jump, bring your feet out wide, keeping that core strong. Sink the hips down as low as you can. Bring the hands to the floor if possible. And from here, we're going to spring up and jump, back into the squat, jump, back into the frog crouch, traveling across the room, stand, turn around, and hop back across. This one you do not need to be hopping forward. If you prefer, you can stay in place, going from that low frog crouch into the jump, up and down. You can also take the jump out of it and focus instead on the low squat portion and maintaining a strong core and a mostly straight back, sinking the hips down as low as you can. Really good for improving the hip mobility, range of motion in the joints, and strengthening all of the muscles around them. But do the jumps if you're up for it, and try not to worry about what it looks like to anybody who might be watching. Better not to think about it. Going into the crab walk now. Sitting down on your butt, feet out in front, hands behind you. Raise your glutes off the ground, then moving opposite hand and opposite foot, walking forward and walking back. Might remember this one from elementary school gym classes. But if not, it's a good time to learn. Excellent movement for working your triceps, shoulders, core, hamstrings, and as with all of those opposite side contralateral movements, can be very tricky, especially going backwards, but great for improving coordination and your mind-body connection. That is the goal of everything today. Doing movements that we aren't used to, extending the range of motion for our bodies, getting more in tune with our animal side. All done with that. Rest up for 30 seconds. We'll do each of those once more. Alright, one more time through for frog jumps and crab walks. Starting off with the frog jumps. Crouching low, springing up, jumping forward. Taking all of these movements at your own pace, of course. Resting as you need to. And pushing yourself as hard as you want. Adapting the movements as necessary. So I do urge you to try and push your limits a bit. See if you can get comfortable with things you're not used to, as long as you are staying safe as you do so. Crouching down nice and deep. And landing gently as we come down. Bending the knees on impact so we can absorb the impact in our muscles rather than in our joints. Maintaining a strong core so that we don't dump the impact into our lower back. 3 more seconds here. And into the crab walk. Hands out behind, Opposite hand, opposite foot moving, drawing forward and backwards. Now this can be a very tricky movement, but as long as you're not at risk of hurting yourself, I urge you to give it a try. This is the time to figure it out. Forging that mind-muscle connection, improving our coordination with each weird movement pattern we get through. 20 more seconds here. A lot of tricep work in this one. Keep that core engaged as well. Should go without saying for pretty much every movement, but good to have a reminder now and then. 3, 2, 1, and finished. Nicely done. 30 seconds of rest. On to 2 new movements. On to our 4th set of movements in this workout, which will be lizard push-ups and donkey kicks. Starting off with the lizard push-ups, getting down into a push-up position, hands under the shoulders, core contracted, pull your shoulder blades down towards your butt, and as we come down, we are going to take one leg out to the side, bringing it knee towards the elbow, and back up. Same on the other side, knee to the elbow, and return to the push-up position in between reps. In those push-ups, make sure that your elbows are pointing mostly backwards rather than directly out to the sides. If the push-up with the leg motion is a bit much for you, you can take the push-up out and do the lizard crawl movement, knee to elbow from the high plank position without going up and down. And also drop that to a low plank and bring the knee to elbow. Excellent workout in any of those variations. Great for the obliques. Now moving on to the donkey kicks. In this one, on all fours, knees under the hips, hands under the elbows, maintaining a strong core. Going to kick a leg back, pushing that heel towards the ceiling, and back down. Opposite side, push your heel towards the ceiling. Key in these, like with the bird dogs, is not arching the back. You know, abs contracted to avoid that. Really isolating those glutes. Push our heel up in the donkey kick each time. Going at your own pace. Might be pretty winded after the lizard push-ups. Got 10 more seconds to go here. Slow and steady, getting comfortable with the movements. And done. Very good. Catch your breath for 30 seconds. And one more time through. Alright, second time through the lizard push-ups and donkey kicks. Down into a push-up position. Hands under the shoulders, core contracted, and knee to elbow as we drop down one side and then the other. Trying to keep the chest parallel with the floor, not tilting too much side to side. You can also do this without the push-up, maintaining the high plank or low plank position as we bring knee to elbow on one side and then the other. Push-up version of this, also sometimes called the Spider-Man push-up, which felt a little less thematically appropriate for a Druid workout. And there's some overlap, but Spider-Man would probably be more of a monk, rogue, fighter, artificer, depending on the version of Spider-Man. 5 more seconds here. And into the donkey kicks. So on all fours, Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Core contracted. Kicking one foot back and then the other. Thinking about pushing those heels towards the ceiling. Working those glutes as we kick up, and the abs prevent us from arching our backs. Getting core work and glute work in here. Trying to stay nice and stable. Again, as with all of these, not wobbling too much side to side, which gets harder and harder as the workout goes on. Ten more seconds. Keep breathing. And done. All right, just one more set of movements to go. All right, our last set of movements will be a gorilla shuffle and a bear crawl. The gorilla shuffle, definitely an unusual one. Make sure you've got a little room to the side of you to start. We're gonna drop down, put our fists on the floor in front of us, and jump our feet over. Swinging our hips side to side, hands down, jump the feet over, hands down again, jump the feet over. Going back and forth like this, keeping the abs engaged. Definitely a movement we are not used to doing day to day. Great for mobility. The gorilla shuffle really doesn't feel good. We can make this a monkey shuffle, staying a little more upright and shuffling side to side, one way and then the other, keeping the knees bent, core strong, torso upright in this. But if you're up for it, do recommend the gorilla shuffle just for the weirdness and exploring something new. Once you get the hang of it, it starts to feel a bit more natural. Got a few more seconds with this one, and into the bear crawl. This, hands under the shoulders, knees under hips, and with your toes on the ground, core contracted, lift the knees up, and opposite hand, opposite foot, crawling forward, and crawling backwards. Keeping the core strong, back mostly straight, trying not to wobble too much side to side. Lots of core work in this one, as well as coordination. If you want, you can also try going side to side here, doing a lateral bear crawl, only if you feel up for it. It can be easy to get thrown off, but think about opposite hand, opposite foot simultaneously. 5 more seconds here. And done. All right, our last 2 minutes coming up. Last time through here, gorilla shuffles and bear crawls one more time. Starting the gorilla shuffles off, crouching down, fists on the ground, jump the feet over, fists to the ground, jump the feet over, back and forth. I know it's a strange movement, but that's the point. Getting away from our usual human movement patterns and trying out some animal ones. Lots of benefits to those, as discussed. Good for mobility, flexibility, strength, coordination. It's forming new neural pathways in the brain. Again, you can do the monkey shuffle version if the gorilla shuffle does not feel good. Finding whatever version of this works for you. 15 more seconds. Going at your own pace. This one can start to burn out the quads. 5 seconds. And into the bear crawl. Hands under the shoulders, Knees under the hips, lift the knees up, keeping the core strong. Opposite hand, opposite foot, crawling forward and backwards. Druids in real-world history were members of a high-ranking priest class in ancient Celtic cultures. They served not only as religious leaders, but political advisors, medical professionals, and legal experts. There were some stories of powerful druids who could influence the weather or crops. It was largely the Greco-Roman desire to paint those cultures as mysterious and threatening led to stories of druids turning into animals and weaponizing the power of nature. Which is more what we know them in as for D&D. Alright. And finished. Nicely done. Ooh. Excellent job getting through that one. That is challenging for the brain as well as the body, which can be extra exhausting, but also extra good for you. Lots of benefits to doing these sorts of movements. If you did enjoy this workout, feel free to check out all of the others. We'll have one for every class. If there are any other workouts you'd like to see, or if you have suggestions or requests, please let me know. As always, our goal is to find what works for you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.